Hi everyone, so as you know, throughout the year I'm doing book reviews, and today's book review is called The 7-Day Stress Prescription by Dr. Elissa Epel. So I'm going to try and keep it as short as I can because there's so much in there. I've taken lots of notes. I've given the book 8.5 out of 10. I haven't read the full book. I've got probably 3/4 of the way, and there's so much in there already. You can see all my notes and everything. So the book, I'll just tell you what it says on the back. So it says, our lives are becoming increasingly stressful. From the moment we open our eyes to the second we finally fall asleep, our brains are flooded with information that has the potential to trigger our stress response. How can we turn stress into resilience? Whether it's to-do list, deadlines, difficult conversations or crises, small or large, our waking hours are filled with stress triggers. We can't eliminate stress from our lives altogether. It will always be a part of our careers, our parenting, and the path to fulfilling our dreams. However, Dr. Elissa Epel can help us to change our daily response to stress and to do stress better. So the book is going to help you to expect the unexpected and embrace uncertainty, to train your cells to metabolize stress for enhanced health, to cushion your busy schedule with moments of joy, to find deep rest and regenerative energy, and to control what you can and put down the rest. So one thing I did like about the book, I like the fact that it's easy to read, easy to understand. The chapters are quite short. There's lots of tips in there. There's lots of exercises. So she talks about, would you like to live in a world with no stress? Picture it. There'd be no worry, no anxiety, no pressure. Does it sound nice? She says, maybe for a moment it would, but stress is woven into our experience of life so deeply, so essentially, that entangling it from life itself is impossible. So what she talks about instead is differentiating between chronic stress and everyday stress and situations. And it's not about the stress itself, it's about how we respond to it. So it helped me to think differently, this book did, because sometimes even me as a counsellor, I'll probably identify stress and then I'll help clients to identify it. But when you break it down, there are always going to be stressful situations that you can't do anything about. So it's how you navigate them. And then there's going to be other situations which you can do something about. So she says, most of us try to cope with stress by relaxing or avoiding distressing thoughts and feelings. But that's not the solution. What you need to do is to reset. The human brain loves certainty. So what you have to recognize is that when conditions are predictable and stable, when everything's going smoothly, then that's fine. People can think rationally. But she says that when uncertainty happens, then it takes a toll on our bodies and our brains, and that's when we have to step in really and respond differently. So she talks about, there's a whole chapter on the pandemic and how that created a spike in depression, stress, anxiety. So she just said, there's different ways to deal with that. So there's a chapter on that. There's also chapters on these are some of the chapters in the book. Things will go wrong and that's all right. Control what you can and put down the rest. Train for resilience. Don't just relax, restore. Be the lion. Start full and end full. There's a chapter on burnout. There's also some really good examples. So she gives an example of a mother and daughter who talk every day, and the daughter always seems to be complaining about the same events. So she's always saying there's always something, and she's always complaining about whether it's housework or whether it's work or whether it's this or that. And the mother says, of course there's always something, that's part of life. You're not going to have a day where there's nothing that causes stress or where it's just smooth. So what the author says is the resolution is to develop a present-centered mindset. So just be in the present. Stop. She says we spend so much time forward projecting, trying to iron out uncertainty, but we need to figure out the logistics of our days, because instead of wheel spinning and thinking this is going to happen or that's going to happen, she says even if you do that, when you get there in the end, it doesn't really solve the situation, because you haven't put enough things in place to say, well, when I reach that event that's worrying me, this is what I'm going to do. Because all you've done is sat there worrying and stressing about it. So what she's effectively saying is that instead of doing all the mental aerobics, that's her word that she uses, sit down and make a plan. Troubleshoot, what's the thing that's worrying me? What can I do about it? Is there nothing I can do about it? Should I just leave it and wait till I get there? So she gives lots of tips on that. So she talks about that stress isn't bad in itself, so we need to stop labelling stress as bad. Chronic stress is bad, but normal everyday stress isn't the issue. So I'm just going to read a few things from what I've taken from the book. I'm not going to read too much. So some of the troubleshooting ideas that she gives are to make a realistic assessment of the probability of risk. If you're worried about something that might happen, game it out. She calls it game it out. She says, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the likelihood that this will actually happen? Focus on what's probable, not what's possible. The second thing is to make a plan. Then she says, if you're being affected by the things that you're watching on the news, then you need to limit the news and social media as well. Then you need to control what you can and put down the rest. So stop trying to control everything. Just say to yourself, what is within my control, what's not in my control? And that makes life a lot easier. That's something that I tend to do anyway as a person. If something's out of my control but it's still stressing me out, then I can say, well, do you know what, this is causing stress, but I can't control it anyway. I can't do anything about the fact if my energy bills have gone up. I'm not going to sit and worry about that. I can take control of the situation itself. I can try and switch to a different energy provider, but I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, why is the energy bills going up? Why are the government doing this? Why is the government... What's the point of me saying that over and over again? It's not going to change the fact they've still done it. So the other thing you can do, when we feel out of control and we've got too many balls and that we're juggling, she says sometimes the right thing to do is to let some of those things drop. And she said the most common reaction she hears in response to that advice from people is that they can't let anything go. And she says it's essential that we interrogate our beliefs, because if you've got too many things on your plate, she says, then you have to make a decision of what's more important. Is it more important for you to just stay there and continue to be stressed? Or can you remove some of the things off your plate and feel less stressed? So the other thing she talks about is when we can't control a situation, we can still control how we respond to it. So you can use meditation. She gives really good examples in the book about a worry window, where you literally give yourself 5 minutes, you write down all the things that are worrying you, and then you make a decision. So is that something that I can control? Is that something I can do something about? Is that something that I need to worry about right now? Is that something that I can leave it? So she's saying that just write it on a piece of paper, decide if you want to worry about it, what's the situation behind it. She says when you define what the worry is, it helps you then to work with it. It helps you to come to action, because a lot of people, what they do, and she doesn't say this, but the mistake they make is that they're just on this continuous spiral of just worrying and overthinking and stressing and becoming anxious and becoming more anxious. They're not doing it on purpose, but it's still what's happening. Now, it doesn't matter if you do that for 2 hours, for a whole day, or for 3 days. It won't change the situation that you're in. So identifying what's causing the worry, making a plan of action of what you're going to do about it, making a decision if there's nothing you can do about it, still means that you are progressing in a way that is helpful for you. So the final thing I'm going to talk about, because as I've said, I'm not all the way through the book, but it's just got so many valuable things in there, is... Right, so I'll read it. It's called Be the Lion. So picture a lion hunting a gazelle, mercilessly running her down across the hot savannah. The gazelle is terrified and in fight or flight mode, sprinting for her life. The lion is exhilarated, anticipating a hard-fought meal as she closes the gap. Which animal is experiencing stress? So the answer is both. So both of these animals are experiencing stress arousal in 2 different ways. The gazelle is locked in a threat response. So the gazelle's main thing is to survive. All the gazelle wants to do at that point is to get away from the lion. And the lion is having a challenge response. So her heart is pumping allowing her maximal speed and anticipating the meal. So her energy is focused on getting the meal. So one wants to survive and they both want to survive actually, because the lion's probably thinking, I need that meal to survive as well. So what she's trying to say is they both have stress in different ways, but you need to decide, are you more lion or are you more gazelle? We all respond to stress differently from each other. So why do some people stew in the soup of stress daily, overreacting to small things, while other people let big threatening events bounce off them as if they have a shield around them? So what I learnt from the book is just different ways that you can deal with stress, different ways of categorizing stress, how you can view stress as something that can help you, but also how you can just accept that it is a part of life. I think the way that maybe either the media or sometimes the way that we are taught about stress is we hear words like, I just want a stress-free life, or no stress in my life, or this is too stressful. Even when people are doing things that are not really stressful, they'll say, oh, this is causing me stress. What you have to realise is how you think about stress, how you respond to it, even the language you use around it is going to make a big difference to how you navigate it, because it's not going anywhere. It's a part of being alive. Being alive means you're going to experience stress. So the book is called The 7-Day Stress Prescription by Dr. Elissa Epel, and I've given it 8.5 out of 10, and I would recommend this book because I just think anything that teaches you things that you didn't know before, there's original content in there, there's clear guidance, there's exercises, there's challenges, there's examples. You can leave this book knowing that you've learned something, and it's memorable. You know, there's a lot of books I've been reading over the last few months that I can't remember anything that I've read in there, or that they've just copied other people's content. So for me, this book is a really good book. So thanks for watching, everyone. Leave your comments and let me know if you do have book recommendations, which a few of you have given to me. Then put them in the comments and I will try my best to put them on my book list. And I'll see you all soon. So please don't forget to leave your comments, to like, to share. And if you want to consider subscribing to my channel, then do that as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.